Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over and testing the Firstlaw Fitness Spider Mount 200.
This is entertainment straight out the basement. Here's the facts, so basic. Your style is so basic. I don't understand what you're saying. Maybe you could change it, really make a statement. Maybe you could add a little spice with some beans and rice.
When I decided to turn part of my garage into an in-home boxing gym, I knew that I wanted to have a hanging heavy bag and maybe some other hanging bags, but I didn't really know what was out there. I've seen some of the wall mount hanging systems, and they seem to work pretty good. So initially, that's what I was kind of looking for. So I went online and started doing my research. I kind of noticed that some of the wall mounts didn't go out very far from the wall and for maybe other objects in the garage, because it's just a small area of my garage that I changed over or converted into a gym. That's when I came across the Spider Mount 200 from Firstlaw Fitness, and I'd never really seen anything like that before. So I kind of looked at it, looked at the reviews. It had some sort of like spring technology, and had a low profile. It looked really good, looked like a really good piece of equipment, and the reviews were just excellent. And it really did seem to it would be the best thing. Would be the best thing for me in my garage. Also, a big deal for me. The reason I was doing that at all, not just hanging it from an O-ring screw in one of the joists, was I don't like the way heavy bags, when you hit them, how they make some houses rattle, or how they make some houses shake. A long time ago, at my mom's house, I installed a small heavy bag on her porch overhead, and I put it on one of the beams, and it just really made everything shake. I didn't know what I was doing really, and it wasn't really pleasant, and my mom used to get all mad. Years later now, I have a wife who I'm sure she doesn't want the house rattling, and sometimes I come home late and I have to get my workout in real late. People might be asleep, or they might be getting ready to go to bed, or who knows, neighbors and stuff like that. And I didn't want a lot of shaking going on, a lot of rattling. So that being important, and I don't know how my house was going to react to that at all. So, but I didn't want to take the chance. So what I did is I kept researching, found that, and I thought this thing might work really well. So I ended up getting it, and what ended up happening is that the piece itself is made for 16-inch joists, or 16 inches in between each joist on the ceiling. My ceiling actually has 24 inches in between the joists. So I had to, well, I didn't have to, I bought the extensions for it, which makes it accommodate 24 inches. I could have bought some 2x4s down at Home Depot or Lowe's and just installed those. And I actually did do that on another one, and which I'll show you later. But I wanted to get this one complete because they made the extensions for it. I wanted it to work, as well as it could. So I ended up getting the whole thing. So that's $200 for the mount, $50 for the extensions. That's $250. So yeah, it's kind of expensive. That's one of the downsides of it. But there really isn't anything else out there with that same technology, and this is supposed to be probably the best thing that makes your house not shake. There is one other device out there, one other piece of equipment out there that's somewhat like this. I got that too, and I'll show you that later on in the video. And it's not really like I'm not trying to do a comparison so much, but it's just to inform you. So if you're looking, or if you're in the market for something like this, you kind of know what's going on. The other one, it didn't have any reviews, so I had no idea if it was going to work at all. But this one had plenty, and it seemed like a really good piece of equipment. So I decided to install it. Got it in the mail, came through, and got it up on the ceiling. It wasn't really hard to install. It was definitely easier to install this than installing 2x4s, then the mount on the 2x4s, because I did that with the other piece, and it was much more difficult. Maybe it's just me. I'm not the handiest guy in the world. Like, I do a few things, but it was easy. I needed another person, so I had a friend come over, and only because the thing weighs like, I don't know, it probably weighs like 20 pounds, 25 pounds. I'm trying to hold that up to mark the spots. It's just easier to have someone with you. If you can do it on your own, go ahead, but it's not the easiest thing to do as far as holding it up by yourself. But with a friend, it wasn't too difficult to mark your holes for your bolts. So what I did is once we got it up, not hard at all, I was able to put my bag on it, and this thing is holding about a 90 to 100 pound heavy bag on it right now. It's rated for 200 pounds, so I didn't think it would be a problem, especially since it got such great reviews. Another good thing about the Spider Mount 200 is that I don't have a lot of room in between the floor and the ceilings. I have about 8-foot ceilings, so I was kind of worried about the size of the heavy bag and how low the Spider Mount was going to be, or how thick it was going to be, and that was going to take away spacing. And I didn't want that to be a problem. So I was trying to find something that was really low profile, and that's another reason why I didn't go with the 2x4s with this one. So that's another good thing. The low profile is great. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it lets you hang your heavy bag. If you have high ceilings, I mean, you have more room to play with. You could use chains, ties, whatever on your heavy bag, and it shouldn't be a problem. With this one, I was using ties as opposed to chains, and I just wanted to make sure I had enough room so the heavy bag wasn't hanging down super low or super high, as it has to accommodate me and some other like my wife and some other people working out in here, and everyone's height's different. So I'm trying to find a comfortable spot for everybody, and so that was a big deal. I certainly didn't want it too low for me or too high. Here's a better look at the Spider Mount 200. As you can see, it has 4 springs and 4 rubber bands on it. And it really does handle the weight of the heavy bag, which is about 90 to 100 pounds, really well. It attaches to the joist 24 inches apart with the extensions with 6 lag bolts, and there's 4 bolts that attach to the extensions. It really does. It's not hard to install, like I said. Another good thing about it, it comes with this O-ring that acts as a swivel. It has bearings in it, so it really does move really smooth. Not having to put a aftermarket or a swivel that comes with the bag, if it does come with the bag, really does help save room. I had to put a swivel on the other piece of equipment that I'll show you in a little bit, and it takes a lot of room because that's 4 inches you're gonna miss out on, 4 or 3 inches, however big your swivel is. But if you get a decent swivel, they can be kind of long. So now I'm gonna hit the bag, and just to show you that it doesn't make any noise really at all, not even a squeak or anything like that. I'm usually out here hitting the bag. My wife has told me that when I do that, she doesn't hear any shaking or any rattling in the house. It stays relatively quiet in there, and in here it's pretty quiet. I wasn't really worried about it in here so much, usually because I'm listening to music when I'm working out. So I wasn't worried about it, but it really is quiet. I haven't seen anything really like that ever before. Okay, so I'm gonna try to hit this bag. I'm gonna try to hit it as hard as I can, just to show you that it really does stay quiet. Okay. So there you go. As you can see and hear, the Spider Mount 200 wasn't making a lot of noise while I was hitting it. All you can seem to hear was me hitting the bag and me breathing. My wife said that she wasn't feeling any rattling or any shaking going on inside the house. So it really is as advertised. The reviews were correct on this one as far as how well it performs. So I can't really recommend this piece of equipment enough if you're looking for something like it. Unfortunately, yeah, it's $250. So that's a lot of money for just, if you're kind of like casually just wanting a heavy bag. That's up to you. There is one other option for you, and I'll be looking at that right now. It is cheaper, but whether or not it performs as well, I mean, I'll let you see that. But this mount really does work really well, and I like that it doesn't hang low. One other good thing about it is it's made in the United States, which is another plus for me. So here's the other heavy bag mount I was telling you about. This is it seems to use the same type of technology with springs. This one has 4 springs like the other one, but it doesn't have the rubber bands. So I don't know if that has a lot to do with it, but it's much smaller and it doesn't look as good as the other one. I'm not really worried about aesthetics since it's just a gym in here. And, if something looks good, that's a plus, but it's not really a big concern for me. So I really wasn't worried about that. I just really wanted to try out something that was similar to the Spider mount, but didn't have the price tag. This one I found on Amazon, and it's made by Lizipai, and it actually is made for heavy bags. So I looked up the reviews for it. There were no reviews. I couldn't find anything on it. So I decided to go ahead and get it just so I can review it. So if people, if they're curious about it, if they want to know if it works, I can show how well it works and how well it doesn't, and they can make a decision on that. I don't know if I already said it, but it was like $78, $80 total, and it's the only thing I really could find that was similar to the Spider mount. There are other mounting systems, but using the springs, I didn't see anything else like it. So just wanting to test it out and see how it works. Now, one thing you can see from it right off the bat is that it hangs pretty low. The springs hang pretty low, and the O-ring on this one doesn't swivel. I had to put a swivel on it to let the bag rotate. Just to be fair, the other bag on the Spider mount is like 90 to 100 pounds. This one is holding a 120-pound aqua bag, so it is holding a little bit more weight. I don't want to be unfair to it. So more weight. This one doesn't have the rubber bands, but it's way cheaper. Like I said, $250 for the Spider mount with the extensions. This one doesn't come with extensions. It doesn't even offer extensions, so I had to put 2x4s. The 2x4s aren't that expensive. You can buy one long 2x4 and get it cut at Home Depot or Lowe's, whichever one you go to. So it's not too expensive. I did have to paint it. I mean, I didn't have to, but I did. And I had to sand it down just because I wanted to make it look okay. So that's just extra effort. If you don't mind, then that's fine. But I had to get that all up in the ceiling. One bad thing about using the 2x4s is that my ceiling's kind of wonky. The house is kind of old, so it was kind of uneven. I made it work. I got it up there. I feel like it's pretty secure, so I'm not worried about that at all. What I was kind of worried about is how low this thing hangs. I know it may not look like that bad, but with 8-foot ceilings, I need as much room as I can get. So I don't like how it hangs really low that way. I'll see how it performs. So far, it's been performing pretty well. One other difference between this one and the Spider mount is that this one is much smaller than the other one. I have some pictures of them side by side. I'll try to post those along on the video, but it's much smaller. Now, that could be a good thing and that could be a bad thing. I had some space, so it really wasn't a factor for me, other than I didn't know exactly where I was going to put it. So the size difference, the only thing it suggests to me is that one's better built. This one's all steel, so it seems pretty solid except for the springs. They don't seem like they're going to break, but they seem like they might get a little stretched out over time. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hit the bag here and do a lot of uppercuts. And I've really been working this bag a lot, like really hard, just so I can stress test this thing and make sure it works. I'm hoping I can get some good time out of it, or maybe it lasts even longer, and it'll be worth it. So here we go. I got the camera on the Lizipai mounting system, just so you can see how it reacts to me hitting this bag. I'll be doing a lot of uppercuts on this thing to really give it a good test, so you can see. Okay, here you go. as you can see, the Lizipai mounting system, it was pretty quiet. Okay, I heard a little bit of something, but it wasn't anything big at all, especially since I'm listening to music while I'm working out. My wife said she didn't hear anything. There was no rattling. So it does actually stops the rattle, stops the shake. So it's a good, I think it's a good piece of equipment, except for how low it hangs. It is holding 120 pounds. It's rated for 140, but I don't know, maybe if I'd be putting 140 on there, unless you have a lot of room and you have some high ceilings. Then it wouldn't matter. But I think it's going to work out pretty, all right. I'm not going to change it out right now. If it starts to stretch out or it fails, I won't be getting it again. I'll be hopefully I can get at least a year out of it more. If it's more, then I'll be happy. It's $80. It's not super cheap, but it's much cheaper than the Spider Mount 200. So if I have to eat that cost later on, I will, as long as I was able to get this review out. And you guys can see that there's other options out there that are much cheaper. But if I had to, I don't want to like compare. But the Spider Mount is a better piece. But it's more than double the price. So if you're in the market for something like this, you have at least two options right now, and I would recommend probably both of them. They're both real good. I'm happy with both for where I'm at right now. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the review.